Hey guys, what up? JT with Jetlag Productions here, and I wanted to show you today a cool new development that's come out in FPV. FPV has been around for a long time. You know, first-person view is just a way for you to be able to see the view of your aircraft when it's flying or vehicle when it's driving, whatever you've mounted a camera on, and feed that video signal back to you in a way that you can see what the camera is looking at that's on your aircraft. There's been a lot of FPV goggles made over the last few years, and a lot of people really got excited and played around with it. I think they're cool. I just never have really got into them that much because as an old flyer, it's very critical for me to always keep my eyes on the aircraft when it's flying. You know, I want to be able to see it at all times when I'm flying. But I got interested. You know, FatShark is a name that's been around for a long time in FPV goggles. They make great stuff, very innovative. They've gone through a lot of different revisions. They've got a lot of different kinds of goggles depending on what you want to do with them. But I've never been that excited about anybody's goggles because, for one reason, I never thought the resolution was really that great on the eyepieces. So, but when they came out with this new model, which is the FSV 1074, or better known as the Dominator HD2, there was a Dominator HD. This is the second release, or the second enhancement of that. And there was at least 3 features on here that were very interesting to me that I wanted to take a look at. So I decided it was time to check them out. And those 3 features that I thought made it worth checking this particular headset out, or FPV goggles out. Number 1 was they increased the resolution of the eyepieces, or of the LCDs that you look through when you put the headset on. These are actually 800 by 600. And they're calling it HD because they actually down rev, or they can actually handle 480p or 720p resolutions and display them on this monitor, or on the monitors in your eyepieces. Is it really HD or not? We're going to get into that. But it is actually much higher resolution than most of the other goggles that are out there. Once again, FatShark has been at the forefront of FPV goggles for a number of years, and they really have gone through a lot of innovation, and this model is no different. So number 1, higher resolution on the actual monitors, or the actual LCDs that you look through. So these are the highest that I have seen for FPV goggles that are mainstream and that are, you know, under $1,000. So that was number 1. Number 2, they built a DVR, a digital video recorder, right into these goggles. So there's a button right here, and you put in a micro SD card. And while you're flying or driving or whatever you got your camera on, if you decide you want to record some of that, the downstream, you just push this button, you'll hear a little beep, it'll start recording. Let it record, you know, all the way up to whatever size your micro SD card is. When you get done with what you wanted to record, push the button again, it'll beep twice, and basically it's saved that as a video file that you can then later pull out the micro SD card, put it in your laptop or whatever, and download that video clip. The third thing was that they, well, another cool feature that I should point out is that they put, one of the problems that you have with FPV goggles is if it's hot out or if it's humid out, the LCDs start misting over. Your breath when you breathe, or just the hot air, will cause them to start misting over, and then you have a hard time seeing. It gets very foggy, and you have to, you know, take them off and wipe. If you're in the middle of flying, you can't do that, of course, because you can't really see what you're doing. So it's irritating, and it can be, you know, it can be fatal to your aircraft. If you try to take off your glasses and mess with them while you're trying to fly, you might wreck your aircraft. So on this model, they actually mounted a little fan that pumps air down through the glasses right past the LCD screens on each side and keeps them fog-free. And that runs off the same battery. There's a LiPo battery that comes right along with the kit. That the way it mounts is it mounts right into this part of your headset here. It plugs right in there to power the goggles, and then the balance plug you can plug into this little thing here, this little connector right here. If you plug the balance plug in there, then that runs the fan. So cool, innovative idea. The battery comes with the headset. It's a 2S 7.4 volt. And they say it'll power for hours. I haven't actually run this long enough yet to run it down. It's got, built into the battery, it's got a battery check gauge on it, so you just push a little button, it'll tell you how full the battery is, whether it's empty or full. Pretty cool idea, easy, and just makes it nice. The third major thing that I really want to get these goggles for is because I noticed that in the bottom here they now have a mini HDMI connector. And I was very interested in that because that means that you don't just have to use these goggles for flying. You can actually use them as a head-mounted display if you want to by plugging that HDMI cable into your PC or your TV or any device, DVR player, whatever you want that has HDMI out. You can plug that into this device as long as your PC or whatever device you're playing from can display in a resolution that the headset can handle. It will down rev everything to 800 by 600. So interesting that they chose that resolution. I'm not sure where that number came from, but what ends up happening is your displays, which we're going to get into, you're going to see here in a minute, your displays end up being more like the old style television. It's the 4:3 ratio instead of the 16:9, and by that, if you're not familiar with that, 16:9 ratio is more of like a widescreen TV, and 4:3 is more like your old, more square monitor TVs like we used to have. This display that's in the headset is 800 by 600, but the way it's configured is it looks more like the old square TV, and they down rev everything through that. So if you plug in an HDMI cable, it'll down rev the signal to 800 by 600, even if it's 1920 by 1080 or 720p or whatever. It'll down rev that signal to fit into 800 by 600. So what ends up happening is the clarity, which you're going to see of the LCD screens, is actually pretty high. It's the best that I've seen in an FPV goggle. Like I said, it's under $1,000. But it kind of squashes the image because it takes a 16 by 9 widescreen picture and it squashes it into a square picture. So that to me is a little bit of a negative. It's not a showstopper, but it kind of makes everything look a little funny, a little dimensions a little bit wrong. It's perfect for flying, but to actually watch movies on it or to play games on it off your laptop, which is absolutely doable, and I'm going to show you here in a second me playing some games on it. But what it does is it takes that widescreen picture and it squashes it down to a 4:3 format, so everything gets squeezed a little bit. You kind of get used to it after a while. In fact, using it now, I don't even almost notice it. But it is a difference, and at least right now, there isn't any way to adjust that in the goggles. There's not a button that you can press that says, go back to widescreen format, do it with a letterbox or whatever. There isn't any way to do that. It basically automatically changes that HDMI signal down to something that it can handle. So by adding the HDMI connector to this headset, they basically turn this into a dual purpose device now, because you can go FPV flying with it, or you can plug it into your laptop or your DV player and you can watch movies or play video games. So that was very interesting to me and I wanted to check it out. So enough talking about it. It's a cool, sleek looking design. I'm going to actually try to show you what it looks like to look through these goggles. It's hard to do because the video that you're going to see is coming through multiple different monitors, multiple different formats, and so I can't show you exactly what it looks like in these eyepieces, but I've worked on it to try to get it pretty close so that you get a pretty good idea of what it really looks like when you look through the eyepieces. So anyway, here we go. We're going to take a look and see what they look like.